Let me see if I got it on public, first of all. Let me see. Yeah, it's on public. Mary, I hope I haven't, because I had two lives going at one time, so I'm wondering if I've done something. Let me see what's happening here. Okay, they're coming in. All right, all right. Let's see. Hey, everybody, welcome. All right, it's your girl, Mahogany Roots and MJ here, and I'm back at you again with another video, and I'm so excited to welcome my special co-host today. His name is Amiri Brown, and I'm going to let him up here in a minute. He's going to tell you all about himself, but in the meantime, I'm just going to say hi to you guys. Welcome, Mulatto Vanguard. Welcome, Emmanuel, Sharonda, BMT. Thank you for being here, BMT. It's important that you're here. So we are going to be talking about long-term marriages, and we can even kind of extend that to relationships, but there's definitely emphasis on marriage in this show. And I know you've been married a long time, Sharonda, the same with you. So before we get into it, I'd actually like to share, I'm wondering if I should do this now and do this. I'm going to break the ice and I'm going to share a funny clip with you guys, okay? I, like y'all know, I like to laugh, so I found something kind of cute that I thought you guys would enjoy. And then we're going to invite the brother up here. So let's see. Let's see.
What's up, man? I'm telling you, boy. You ever feel like the pastor was talking to you directly? Yeah, I know. He always talking to your big ass. 376 members of the church, but he talking to you. He was talking to me. He was talking about you. What are you talking about? I seen the way you was looking at that new girl that came to the church. I was asking that girl how to make cuckoo. Charlie, everybody see the way you look at the girl. You're too busy looking at what I'm doing. That's why you ain't getting the right message, okay? I'm supposed to watch your raggedy ass, okay? Whatever. And that's why he read Matthew 5, verse 28. And anyone that looks on a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Well, if that's the case, I'm a sinner, because I done fucked that girl about 20 times in my mind, okay? My heart is full of semen right now, okay? I see the way you look at the damn pastor, too. I could have had the pastor if I wanted, okay? Okay. You want to play that game? What you about to do? I'm going upstairs to fuck up 4 more times in my goddamn brain. I swear if you go up there and do that.
Fussiness, crying, gas, and spit up.
Sorry about that, y'all. I didn't plan that very well, but that was a clip. That was by Caribbean Trans. It's a dude that I like to watch. He's very funny. And we're going to have some fun today. So when you think about people who've been married a long time, you think about people who pretty much are bitter, and it's like they act like they just are together because they have to be and not because they love one another. But no, it's not that way. And so this brother, I think, would be a good person for us to talk to about it. But Caribbean Trans is very funny. We're sharing this, of course, for educational purposes. After the video, you guys, I'll share the link to his channel in the description box. But right now, let's welcome Amiri Brown to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing real good. Welcome, brother. So, talk to the people. Tell them about you. Tell them about your channel.
Well, I have a a YouTube channel. It's kind of just diverse topics. I guess you could describe it as kind of pro-black, but not really. Relationship channel, but not really. I just like to spread it around a little bit. I've been doing it. Really, I started my channel in 2017, took a break, just came back recently a few months ago. And I just like to talk about stuff that's pertinent to the Black experience, to the Black community, relationships, marriage. I've been married 22 years,
Wow.
6 children. We doing our thing. It's not easy, of course, but that doesn't mean it's not worth it.
That's right. That's right. You said a lot in there. I mean, just right there, 22 years of marriage. That's a long time. And first of all, I would never know that to look at you.
Right.
And the children, I mean, all of that is work. Marriage, period, is work, let alone when you're
Hmm.
talking about children. So
Right.
I'm going to just start asking you some questions. I've
Okay.
I watch your show. I've seen your show. I'm a huge supporter as far as just watching and just
Mhm.
behind you. You are big on family, and
Yeah.
you're big on um, men kind of being the head of the family and taking responsibility for the family, no excuses
Hmm.
accepted. And I like that about you. You do get some pushback, of course,
Right.
because of the
Right.
section that we're in, but we're going to deal with all those things.
Right.
Um, let's take it all the way back to the beginning. Did you always want to be married? I mean, yeah. Did you think you
Yeah.
would?
Yeah, because like, because the era I came up in, we had TGI Fridays, which was Thank God It's Friday, and that was family friendly television. You had the
Yeah,
Cosby Show, you had Family Matters, you had Full House, you had
yeah.
all of these shows that were family centric.
Mhm.
So that kind of like just socialized me into that, and then too, just dealing with with my own personal life with my family, like we was a big family. It was 8 of us, 8 kids, and my mom and my dad. And even though the relationship didn't work between them, and I'm the second from the youngest. So by the time I was coming up, they had already got divorced and stuff like that. So I just remember us being separated, and I'm talking about the children, the kids.
Mhm.
And that affected me in a lot of ways. It was a lot of times where I was by myself, especially like with my older brothers, because my older brothers, they're the two oldest. So it's 10 years and 7 years between me and them. And then it's all my sisters in between. So, me being at the end of the relationship, and being the second to youngest, I always looked up to everybody because everybody
Yeah,
was bigger than me. You know what I mean? So I've always been like family oriented. I think, yeah, it's something I
very
always wanted.
very good. So speaking of that, so
Mhm.
you've been married 22 years. That means you have to been married very young. How old were you when you got married?
I was 19.
Woo, that's I got married very young too, but we'll get to me later.
Right.
I'm certain that. And how old was your wife?
She was the same age. We're the same
That
age.
must have been quite surprising to the family. How did you guys break that to them that you wanted to get married?
Uh, Let me see if I can recall it. I mean, well, my mom didn't believe me. I remember she didn't believe me. She thought I was just talking till I remember the day of the wedding. She came
Mhm.
out. She came out her bedroom, and I was in the living room with a tuxedo on. I remember
Yeah.
she got dressed at the last minute because she thought I was just talking.
Did
Um,
your family give you any pushback at all?
nah, they didn't give me any
That's
pushback. Now
good.
her family gave me some pushback,
Yeah.
because just in that era in the neighborhood, like this wasn't suburbia. This was pretty much the hood. That was uncommon for a 19-year-old black male youth to want to take on that level of responsibility. So yeah, obviously they wanted her to get her education and stuff like that, pursue other things. Um, but it was something that I wanted, and I didn't. It's not like I strung her on or anything, you know what I mean. So
Right,
it was
right,
something
right.
that she wanted to, and that was one of the things that attracted me about her. That attracted her to me, was because she was kind of the same way. She's very family oriented, more so than I am. I'm more like a procedural type of person. I do things based off of necessity. She's more touchy feely and more on the sentimental side of things in terms of birthday parties, just stuff like that. So that was one of the things I always liked about her, was her attitude about family.
Awesome. Okay, so 22 years later, if
Mhm.
you look back to your 19-year-old self, is there anything you would have done differently? And think about it and answer the question. I'm gonna get a notebook because I got some questions for you.
Okay.
All right. Like, is there anything that you wish you had known before that you know
Um,
now? First,
yeah, I wish one of the things I wish I did. I wish I had went to the military. Um, although at the time, it was invading Iraq and Afghanistan, so it was a lot more sketchy than what it is now. With joining the
uh-huh.
military, I definitely would have pursued my secondary education. And even though we got married at a young age, I would have waited to have my first child. Like within that first year of marriage, we already had our first child within that first year. So I probably would have waited um, about 2 years before we even had 2 or 3 years, just depending on when we had our first child together. But other than that, it's been a rewarding process. It's been a rewarding journey. It hasn't been without its issues, its hiccups, its ups and downs, like anything in life.
Right. Every relationship has that. And
Yeah.
I'm just, and I'm not a shoulda, woulda, coulda person. I ask that because sometimes, we all sit back and think maybe if I did this a little bit, twerk that. But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, everything turned out good. You have the
Yeah.
baby,
Mm-hmm.
so you're not making any regrets about it. It's just,
Right.
I feel like we all could learn
Mm-hmm.
and help somebody else, which is why I don't understand. Like right now, we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about long-term healthy marriages. And as much as people talk about relationships in this sector, you would think it would be a plethora of people over here trying to get this
Right.
information from somebody who has been through it.
Mm-hmm.
And we got several people in the chat who have what do you think that is, Mary, about people not want what do you think it's a fair about marriage? What's going on?
Well, no, I think it's people just wasting time. I think people just come on YouTube to run their mouth and waste time because like I said, there's a difference between theorizing and practicing. So everybody wants to prognosticate about how they think relationships and marriage and stuff like that should go. When at the end of the day, many people just aren't about it. At least in this sector, many people just aren't about it. They do that just for the purposes of making content and attempting to make themselves relevant in this space. Because, like you said, if this was something where we were talking about something trifling or something that's just foolishness, your chat room will be busting at the seams. And when we're talking about, something very, very productive, very real, from an experience perspective, you'll be lucky to get 30 or 40 people in the chat room. So I think that just speaks to the overall motives of the people who are consuming the content.
That's true. It does say a lot about the people, about the viewers. I've been saying that for a while because I used to get
Mm-hmm.
mad at the content creators, like they're just up
Right.
there talking, but they're doing it for a reason because that's what they're noticing, that gets them the views. Hey, Mela, welcome everybody. I want you guys to ask questions in the chat towards the end. I've got some more clips and we're going to go into more sections of this conversation. Towards the end, I'm dropping the link for married folks to give a perspective. Married folks to give a perspective. This won't be a long live, but hopefully it'll be a very educational live for somebody who might be thinking about making that type of commitment. Okay, back to you and Mary.
Mhm.
So let me just talk about myself for a second.
Okay.
I was married to for close to 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
It was on and off, same thing. We had ups and downs in our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, the marriage was good. Ultimately, it dissolved over time. And knowing now, or knowing if I had known now, back then, what I knew now,
I know
I believe I
yeah.
could have stayed it. Yes, oh, child.
Mm.
But but I'm the type of person I like to move forward. And like I've said many times, me and my son's father, we get along better now than we ever did. So it might have been a
Mm.
blessing in disguise for us. But at the
Right.
same time, I like to see for instance, my grandmother was married well over 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Her
Yeah.
husband passed away, and that's the type of relationship that I feel like we all should be striving for. A lot of people act like they don't care if they're alone, but nobody really wants to be alone. Nobody wants to spend their
Right.
last days and the days when they need someone the most by themselves.
Hmm.
So we need to cut that out. But
Yeah.
back to you. Let's talk about you as a young husband.
Mhm.
Um, do you have any advice for a young man that is thinking about getting married but is scared because he has no idea what his duties should be? What should a husband's duties be to his wife?
It should just be to be caring, to be attentive, um, to be empathetic, um, and to be introspective. I think a lot of times when I hear men complain about the things they complain about, a lot of times we look at it from a very what they would call logical perspective. But I don't necessarily put it within that term of logic. I think it's just procedural. Men can be very procedural about things, and what needs to be done. It's very simple, point A to point B. But it's not going to be the same way for your wife, especially if you have a family, there's kids involved, y'all have children and stuff like that. So you're gonna have to learn to be patient with um with your wife. Don't be resentful, um and be angry but sin not, you know.
Okay, I wrote a lot of this down.
Mhm.
Why did you mention not to be resentful? Why would a man be resentful towards his wife?
Because
What
he
do you
can't, because he can be, because like I said, a lot of times there's an impasse in communication, because from the man perspective you're looking at it a certain type of way, and
uh
for your wife it's going to be it's a very different experience for her, and so um like a lot of times in these conversations we always talk about what the woman's role is, and how the woman is basically a, in a supplementary role, and she's the helpmeet. But I think the thing that gets lost in all of that is that you have to help each other, you have to be each other's helpmeet. And so as a husband, you have a responsibility to help your wife. And so you can look at it from a perspective of, well, this needs to be done, but it's not being done. And after a while, you can become resentful because you're just looking at it only from one aspect, or only from your perspective or your aspect. But you have to learn that you have to help your wife. You have to help her.
Now, Queen, she asked the question. Queen Sunkiss asked the very next question. I was because you mentioned some attributes like caring, attentive, empathetic, which I think there's nothing wrong with that. But in
Mhm.
this era that we're living in on YouTube,
Mhm.
um, so she asked you, how do you do all those things and not be called a simp? I think.
Right. Well, it's because I don't let the outside world influence what goes on inside my household.
Right.
I
Right.
I do what's necessary, and this is why I tell brothers the things I tell them, because what you have is you have a lot of men in modern time clamoring for this position of head of the household, because they're looking at it as some lauded position where they have this dominance and authority. But really, when you're looking at head of the household, you're looking at what that means is you're the head servant, you're the chief servant. If you look up the word family, all it means is it means servants. It means
Okay.
households of servants. Look up the etymology of the word um, family, and that's what you're going to find. So if you want to be the head of the family, that means you have to be the chief servant. So that means that everybody else's needs come before your own. And this is why I tell brothers what I tell them, because are you really ready for that? Do you really understand the weight and responsibility of what that means? Because at the end of the day, you're going to hold all the good and bad of the relationship, whichever way it goes, and that's the way it should be. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. So it's going
Absolutely.
to be times when you have to do things and accept things that you wouldn't ordinarily accept.
Absolutely. And that's why I say there's a definite difference between people who have been married, whether
Hmm.
you men or women. There's a difference between a man and a woman that have been married versus people who have never. I can tell by the way that they speak.
Hmm.
I think I was telling you, I heard some man on here talking about how he expects sex every night. And I'm thinking to myself, you've never lived with a woman, okay? Because
Right.
that's
Yeah.
just fantasy land. It might happen, it might be all hot and happy when you first meet, but
Hmm.
things like life, kids, babies, and work and all these other
Hmm.
things I won't say they take precedent, but they happen. And
Yeah.
you knowing if you actually care about the person you're with are gonna you're not going to be so pressed for that because you know if you don't get it tonight, you can get it another night. It's not
Right.
the
And
end of
see,
the
and that's the thing. Like, this is
yeah.
one of the things I talk about is we have to realize how sex has become a commodity, like everything else in Western society and capitalist society. The same way we have fast food, it's the same way when it comes to sex and stuff like that. And so, we have this thing where we think that we just supposed to get a lot of it. I got to have a lot of sex, but quality always trumps quantity. And if you're pumping on top of your wife every night, you're not going to be having quality sex, and it's not going to be quality for her. You want it to be passionate, something that that you two can you can enjoy. Like when I hear men
Enjoy.
talk about that, that's coming from a very selfish perspective, and that sounds good on YouTube in theory, but in practice, it's a totally different thing.
It is completely different. I might get
Mhm.
into a little bit later,
Right.
but so you mentioned being caring, attentive, empathetic, and of course, we always hear protection. But I want you
Mhm.
to give me specifics about the duties, some more specifics about the duties of being a husband. So he is to be caring to his wife, attentive to
Mhm.
his wife, and empathetic. Um, but he should also be what else?
Well, at certain points, you're going to have to be stern. You're going to have to put your foot down on certain things.
Okay.
Uh,
I'm surprised, but that's true. That's
yeah,
true.
yeah. Like I mean, I don't want brothers to think that what I'm saying is in order to be a good husband, you have to be a doormat. No, you're going to have to stand your ground on certain things. You're going to have to be uh, diplomatic about certain things. You're going to have to be willing and able to compromise. And listen, you're going to have to be. Everybody wants to be a life coach. Well, it's going to be times where you're going to have to be a life coach to your wife, to your children, because they're going to look to you for certain, certain advice, leadership. Everybody loves to talk about leadership, but the thing that I always mention when we're talking about leadership is how leadership is an it's an action word. It's all about action. Leadership isn't talking. It's about what you're doing and the example that you're setting. And so, with that being the case, you're going to have to be consistent, and you can't have certain rules for the household, for your wife and children, and then you doing something else. So you have to set the example. Whatever you want the tone and the tenor of that relationship and marriage to be, you have to do it. You have to walk it like you talk it. In the words of the Migos, you have to walk it like you talk it. You can't say one thing and do another. And it's gonna have to be times when, because we always say this thing, you got to speak life into the black man, but you have to speak life into your wife. You're gonna have to build her up some days.
I would like to
Um,
speak about that because I've
mm,
heard women say that too, and I
right.
don't think there's anything wrong with building your partner up, but I do hear that a lot being told to women. And my
Mhm.
thing is, a, because there's plenty of women that have been the backbone to men, and then in the words of Kanye, honey, he leave your ass for a white girl, and that's just an example. But
Right.
there are plenty of women that have cried boohoo tears trying to be that hold me down girl,
Hmm.
and it awful what for it to be passed to the new chick. So
Right.
you can't be a fool either, and a person needs to
Hmm.
have some kind of substance when they
Hmm.
come to you,
Right.
right? So I
Yeah,
just
you
had to
have
say
to. Yeah, you have to give your wife reassurance or your lady reassurance. You have to.
very good. I want to ask you some more. I
Mm,
do really like the sternness because it's not easy. I want to say this. I won't say I was a spoiled wife. My ex-husband would probably say I was spoiled,
mm,
but he would say I was spoiled just because I was used to kind of getting my way, and I never even looked at it that way. I was just
mm.
used to, um, I don't know. I'll put it this way, fellas. The way you start off with a woman, it's really hard to break those. If you start off treating a woman a certain way
Yeah.
and she gets used to it, it can be very, very difficult when you're going. So you might have to break it. You say
Hmm.
you're going through difficult times. Maybe somebody loses their job, and maybe you used to take her out all the time. There was a point in time where he lost his job, and we were used to going out every weekend, and I couldn't go out. It caused a little bit of a problem, but he had to be the man to be firm with me, not in an over masculine, overbearing way, but let me understand because I was a very young wife too. So let's
Right.
keep all that in mind.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Did you want to say something to Mary? Otherwise, I'm gonna go to
Uh,
my next. Uh-huh.
no, I mean, just being stern, because I see L's mom asks, where is the line between being stern and being emotionally and mentally abusive? And I think that's where the shadow work on the part of the man comes in, because we can pick up a lot of things just from our childhood, and if we don't work through those things, you can bring those things into the relationship, and abuse can be something, can become normalized. Abuse can be something that's very normal for a person, and so they don't even know that they're being abusive emotionally or mentally, or financial abuse and stuff like that. So not just being stern, just having. There's nothing wrong with men as husbands, first and foremost, setting boundaries for themselves, for their finances, for their own emotional and mental well-being, and things like that. So it's going to have to be points and times when you're going to have to put your foot down. Now, of course, it's a delicate balance, because you can't come off too overbearing, and um you can't be abusive. That works against you. It doesn't work for you. A lot of the things that we hear a lot of these guys talking in the real world, in a real relationship, that works against you. It doesn't work for you. The goal of the relationship is to win.
Right.
So you
And then
can't do things that put you in a losing position.
there's an old saying.
Mhm.
Well, let me just say this to y'all in the chat. Stick around, because at the end we are going to drop the links. Right now we're just talking about long-term marriage. Dee Darrell is another one that's been married for a very long time, family man. So we're going to welcome married folks to come up here and maybe just give some words of wisdom to people who might have fear about getting married. To me, marriage is a wonderful thing. It saved me, I'll tell you that. But I do, Mary.
Mhm.
Oh God, I hate when I do this. It was right on the tip of my tongue. Were you going to say something just now about?
No, you can go to the next. I think I said pretty much everything I wanted to say on that.
Okay. I wanted to talk about. So you're describing a very healthy relationship. You're talking about
Mhm.
a relationship, and she brought up a very good point about, okay, how do you know when it's becoming abusive? And there's
Right.
definitely a difference, and it can
Mhm.
become a normal way of life. That's why you really have, for me, when I was married, we had constant communication, like before we went to bed. And I
Mhm.
know that sounds corny, and I know a lot of people say that they do this, but they really don't. But we did this. We tried not to go to bed angry, and that wasn't so we
Right.
could love, but that was so that we could put nip the issue in the bud, and it
Mhm.
wouldn't go on and on and on and on. Um,
Yeah.
so what do you do to work things out in your relationship?
Uh, we just come to a resolution. A lot of times I'll just leave it alone. And then once things have cooled down, I'll come back and um we'll have a adult conversation about it, and then just work it out. Or a lot of times, like what Positive Vibe asked, do you use code words to prevent an argument becoming too heated at Amiri? What I'll do to deflect that energy, I'll make a joke. I'll start joking.
Yeah.
I have to
Sometimes that
be
makes us mad, though.
really.
Yeah, if you joke all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Sometimes you're gonna be in the doghouse. You know what I mean. You just gonna have to give it a couple of days. It just depends on how severe it is. Like most times I know, like most times when me and my wife have had arguments, it's been about money, something missing out the account. She might be spending too much. She might feel like I'm spending too much, stuff like that. But it's never. We had those things when we were younger, and
Mhm.
that's kind of the thing. After you get past a certain amount of time in a marriage, things kind of level out and balance out. You get your sea legs under you, and you get into a routine, and it kind of steady. Like most people, I think, just especially in modern time, just don't have the mentality of sticking it out through those rough patches, especially in the beginning. You're gonna have that honeymoon phase, then you're gonna have rocky points. It just depends on what's happening, on what's causing it and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'll just let things cool down, maybe a day or two, and then we'll revisit the issue, and we'll just talk about it and work it out. Like, cause it's nothing major that me and my wife really have issues about like that. Because we've been married so long, it's kind of like we know each other. You know what I mean? So
This is a very good question. She's got some good questions. Can you see it? Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can see it. She says, "Do you know your wife's triggers, and does she know yours?" Yeah. We do. We know each other's triggers, pet peeves, and stuff like that.
And you should try not to trigger them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. You should try not to. You know what I mean? Like we all have our idiosyncrasies and our quirks, stuff like that. Like my wife, she knows I hate to be asked a bunch of questions. Like just back to back. I'll get agitated. Like I'll get agitated. Like I said, I'm a very quiet person, and aside from what people might think, I'm very quiet. So when I'm at home, I'm rarely like uh talking. I
Oh.
might be on my phone, or I might be watching TV, or I might just be laying there.
But that
Um,
probably, does that ever bother her that you won't talk more?
um, yeah, sometimes. Like now, don't get me wrong, we do talk and chat. It's just like I said, just grilling me, like asking me a million questions. I'll be like, let me answer the first question, then I'll answer the next question you just asked me. Give me a second. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's just little stuff like that.
So Queen is asking how important is effective communication?
I mean, it's very important.
Yeah, pretty
It's
important.
very important. Yeah, and see, communication isn't just verbal. It can be body language. It can be
That's right.
actions. Like we all know, actions speak louder than words. It goes
Mhm.
back to what you was just mentioning about the things with the triggers and stuff like that. Because and these are things I have become aware of about myself. And so when my wife is talkative and is asking questions, I try to make sure that I entertain it, or that I actually listen to what she's saying and stuff like that. And this is why I mentioned earlier about the very procedural aspect of things, because one of the things that my wife will tell me is I don't listen to her, because she could have told me something like, well, Isaiah has to do this, and I'm just sitting there, and it's not like I'm trying to ignore it, but I got so much on my mind because I'm thinking about I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to go, I got to drive 3 states over the next day. You know what I mean? So it's my mind just on other things, and so when it does come up, I'm like, well, where you at? And she's like, well, I told you Isaiah had to go here and do this, and then she say, see, you don't listen to me, and I'd be like, man, sometimes I just forget. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
lot on my mind, so it's just stuff like that. But yeah, communication is vitally important. Like I said, you can't be an effective communicator if you can't listen.
Positive Vibes has another question. She says, "Are you religious, and is God a part of your foundations of your marriage?" That's a great question.
Well, once upon a time, I was very religious, and that was the foundation of my marriage. And even now, even though I'm not as religious as I used to be, that still governs a lot of how I behave in my marriage and in life. I still believe in things like right and wrong, treating people the way you want to be treated, like a lot of those Christian or Israelite tenets and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. So, all right, I'm loving it. I think I'm going to do a little bit of role playing before we go into some other clips.
Okay.
I tried to find a funny clip. The language was a little bit out there, but y'all got the gist. But I hope y'all weren't offended by that clip. Okay, so now I'm ready to do a little bit of game playing. I like to play games. So
Right.
now, Amiri, we're going to just do some skidding, I guess, some role playing.
Mhm.
Let me see how we're going to do this here. Let's see. So we want to help the folks out to what sometimes marriage can be, right?
Mhm.
So we're going to set the scene, and I'm going to react a certain type of way, and you tell me whether that's the correct way to act as a wife or whether
Okay.
it's the wrong way.
Okay.
And then maybe we could do it vice versa, just play. Okay.
Mhm.
So you're just coming home from work,
Mhm.
and nothing is the way, nothing, absolutely nothing is the way that you expected. So you're irritated with me,
Mhm.
but I don't seem to notice it because I'm tired and I've been doing all this stuff.
Right.
You come through the door, how are you going to respond to me?
Okay, let me see.
I said a lot.
Let me see. Let's see. All right. I come through the door. Hey, what's up? What's going on, man? Why ain't nothing done?
This is hard. This is really hard.
Yeah, it
Because
is.
you know I'm kind of going. better when hood said it.
Right.
Okay, so ladies, the appropriate thing to do. I mean, just tell the truth about what happened because I've had that happen to me. In all honesty, in all actuality, I've had that happen to me. We've had days where things just, especially when you got kids or if you're going to
Mhm.
school. I remember I was going to school from home, and
Right.
you just get caught up, and especially if you're a new mom.
Mhm.
But let's just say I don't give you the answer that you really want. Let the people know what's the right way to respond to me and what's the wrong way.
Well,
Get,
the wrong way is to fly off the handle. Obviously, the wrong way is to start cussing and carrying on. And I think the right way is if it feels like it's unbearable, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
you leave. You go take a walk or go ride around. I've done that in the past. I've made those mistakes, and you don't want to do that. That's not the right way to handle it. You don't want to be overwhelmed. And because one of the things is raising your stress level. It ain't solving nothing. So you the right way is to leave, and like I said, go cool down. Maybe you go get a drink. You know what I mean? I don't drink, but maybe some people do. Go get a drink, or some people might smoke weed. Go smoke your blunt, chill out. You know what I'm saying?
But do
And
you
then
think that? Sorry, do you
oh,
think
go
that
ahead.
leaving is good too? Because we don't like to see y'all leave because then we get
Well,
worried.
well,
Where you
it's
going?
well, that's it's if it's unbearable, you better leave. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you feel like you're about to blow your top, then you should leave. That's better than staying there and standing with what's agitating you. You know what I mean? And then now you sitting there flying off the handle, bitch. I said, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to do that. So you want to, go chill out, go ride around, get you something to drink, or if you smoke weed, smoke your a joint or something, a blunt. And then a lot of times what happens is after about 20 or 30 minutes, you realize it ain't that big a deal. Most
Right.
times it's not like you came home and found a nigga in the house. You know what I'm saying? Most times it's not a big deal. It's not a big
Okay.
deal, man.
We
So
got to do that.
yeah, it just all depends on the person temperament. You know what I mean? But I would much rather see him do that than fly off the handle and stuff like that. Because what's going to happen? You don't want to come across as if you're attacking your wife. Because then what do people do when they feel attacked? They're going to become defensive.
And
And
attack
so
right back.
yeah, so
Mhm.
this is going to cause
Back
a,
and forth, and
yeah, and
yeah.
then things can get out of hand. This is how things escalate. So you want to, if you have to leave to de-escalate the situation, that's what you do.
I'm going to get back to the little skit. We'll probably do one more, and this time I might flip the script. I thought that was
Okay.
really. I love your answer. But Bacon Spice says, "How do you keep the spark in your marriage?" Very good question.
Um, Shit, you gotta mix it up. You can't be a one trick pony. I don't believe in all this other stuff people got going on where they like. I don't believe in the Will and Jada thing. Okay, let me just say that. All this
Oh, okay.
swinging and all that.
Entanglement.
Yeah, I don't believe in all of that. So you
No
just
entanglements.
yeah you switch it up. Sometimes change the scenery. Do it outside. I don't know, just anything that can
Well, and
get that build that sexual tension. You want to. That's what I was talking about with the guy wanting sex every night. You're not get. It's no sexual tension. That sex is going to become very, like I said, it's going to become very procedural, very very monotonous, and it's not going to be a good. It's not going to be a good lay. I tell you that.
you don't want your woman sitting there faking it with you, and just you don't
Mm,
want all them type of shenanigans. I want to say this. Going back to her question, that I want you to get to Sunkiss's question. Sometimes spicing it up isn't even sexually involved. It doesn't even involve sex because if the woman
mhm.
is tired, it really depends. When you're trying to spice things up, fellas, this is just my advice. I feel like you need to check the temperature of what's going on in your household. If your woman is telling you she's tired and she needs a break, give her ass a break, and then she'll
Mhm.
have the energy to give back to you. If she's
Yeah.
complaining about needing help with cleaning, clean the damn house, and I bet you how much more she'll be in the mood than she was before. So other than that, I mean, do you have any romantic moves? Anything that you do to spark it up, like she said earlier, bacon?
Um. Let me think. I'll serenade my wife. I don't know how to sing, but I'll try. You know what I'm saying? Just
You want to
anything.
sing, Liz? You
No,
want to?
no, I'm not doing that. I ain't doing
I,
that. I mean,
I love it when my boyfriend sings to me. He
yeah.
will, and I will get the woo booing on him too. Right?
Mhm.
I can't sing at all,
Yeah, that
but
was something I would do a lot, early on and stuff too. Even though I can't sing, I would try,
is she
and I
like
would.
that?
I mean, shit, she was giving me the cookie, so I guess so. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, and y'all, I'm getting to y'all. The second question by Queen is, how do you adjust the changes in your to changes in your partner as the both of you evolve and change? Very good
Hmm.
question.
Yeah, I mean, now you just gotta know what it is, man. You have to be realistic. You can't really look at social media and stuff like that. See, that's why I was saying now there's different influences. See, because when we
Okay.
got married, you didn't have all this stuff. We didn't have social media and stuff like that. So it's just being realistic and understanding that both of you are growing older. Like if you notice in our modern time, I've never it amazes me to no end how people will shame people for aging. If the only other option is to die, you know what I mean? If you don't
Right.
age, so you have to just be realistic and be cognizant of those things, and also, be cognizant of your own limitations, and it's you want to be active as much as possible. So like me and my wife will go walk by the lake sometimes. We'll go walk to the
Oh,
pool house.
do you guys
You know,
hold hands?
sometimes
Oh.
we do. Yeah, sometimes we hold hands. And then I got a treadmill, so I get on the treadmill, she be in there. She get on the treadmill, I be in there, and just stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely have to spend some time together. You have to do things together, or you want to keep the bond strong. I got a few things I want to read. Thank you
Mhm.
guys so much, and thank you guys for all of you guys for being here. Exile, Mela, everybody, positive. Naima's in the building. Okay, so let me get to positives question. She says, Mahogany, what have you learned from your husband? I've learned so much. Um, I've learned a lot about myself, honestly. And that's the thing. When you partner with somebody, you'd be surprised how much you learn about yourself, what you don't like, what you do like.
Mhm.
Um, it teaches you patience and also, like he said, when to be firm, when to say, brother,
Mhm.
no, you got the wrong one. I know you've been messing with before, honey, but you got the wrong one. Okay. So, with respect, but, so, oh God, what have I learned? I've learned so much. Um, so I got married young. I got married at 19, had my son, married at 19, pregnant at 20, had my son at 21, very young. And I will say this, um, I learned how to not just, I think being a mother kind of just came with time. And I won't say that he taught me that. It just came with time. And then I had women around me, my grandmother, my mother, people from the community helping me, loving on me and my son. So, um, but my husband was the type to talk to me, like Amiri was saying. He wasn't the type, and trust me, I could tell the frustration was in his face, honey, when he would come home and dinner wouldn't be cooked and maybe the dishes weren't clean, and he's like, "Damn, I got to work and come." And at the time, I was staying at home, and when he said that, I felt kind of bad, so I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna get on my game." And it also made me want to hurry up and get a job too, because I was like, I can't stay in this house. So I started to learn more of who I was. It was like,
Mhm.
okay, I love you. I love my son, but there's more to me than just being a housewife for me. Some
Mhm.
women love that forever and ever and ever. For me, I wanted a little bit more. Looking back on it, I wish I had stayed home a little bit longer. I think it would
Mhm.
have been beneficial to my son, but that's a whole nother story. So he taught me um, almost like a mirror, kind of showing me myself. That's what
Mhm.
you do when you have a partner. I want to say this about Naima Buckner. She says that she's engaged. And do you have any advice for her, Amiri?
I would just say, just take your time. Make sure you listen. When he does voice his concerns, don't just be dismissive. That's one of the worst thing you can be in a marriage, and this is for either the husband or the wife, is to be dismissive. You don't
Mhm.
want to dismiss what your wife or your husband is saying, about their concerns and things that's important to them. So you wanna listen to what they're saying, and if it's something that you can work on or correct or whatever the case is, you want to do that. You want to try and make sure that you're contributing to um, their happiness. You know what I mean? When you're sharing a space with a person, a household with a person, your life with a person, you do hold a certain level of responsibility when it comes to their happiness. If what you are or aren't doing is contributing to their unhappiness, so you just want to take your time and be attentive and don't be dismissive. And this is something I want to tell the ladies. There's nothing wrong with a woman interrogating or examining her husband, but the thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to come across as challenging. You don't want to challenge him because
Now, see, that's confusing, but go ahead. I want to ask you about that word.
yeah, because um, you can have a very legitimate concern or gripe, but it's all about in how you say it, how you address it, and how you come across. And if you come across in a challenging way, then that automatically implies conflict.
Can you give us, because I'm gonna be honest, I have no
Mhm.
idea, me personally, what you mean when you say challenging, because I hear a
Mhm.
lot of men saying, oh, these women are trying to challenge us, and
Right.
we trying to be a
Mhm.
part of. So can you give an example of what, say, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, like
what?
say for example, your husband is 3 hours late coming home from work, right?
Okay.
And he comes through the door. You don't want to be, nigga, where the fuck you was at, nigga, getting all up in his face. You know how some sisters can do. You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you something, nigga. Where the fuck you been? You know what I'm saying? Now, because my homegirl Shaniqua just said you don't want to do that. A better way to approach it would be, let him relax a little while, and then you come and be like, so, hey, babe, how you doing? You know,
But
how
wait
was
a
your day?
minute.
You can interrogate, but you don't want to challenge, because if you challenge, he's going to feel that you're challenging him, and that's going to create conflict. It's all in how you
Okay.
do it.
So, Mary, I'm coming home 3 hours late, which is not like me. You mean to tell
Mhm,
me you gonna sit there and wait and ignore the fact that I normally come home at 5 and it's
mhm.
8 o'clock, the sun is down,
Right.
and you mean to tell me you're not gonna ask me where I was?
Yeah, but it's all in how. Like, I'm not gonna. Girl, where
Tell
the
me
fuck
that.
you been? You know what I'm saying?
Let me see how you would ask that question. Let me see how you would ask that question. Hey,
um,
Danielle.
I would be like, so hey, what's up? Where you been? Like, I would ask like that, or it just depends. Like, one thing I wouldn't do though, I wouldn't like grab up by an arm and slam up against the wall. Like, where the fuck you been? You know what I'm saying? You home? You 3 hours late. I'll just ask her, and when she tell me her answer or whatever. Like, I've had those situations where it might take my wife a while to get home, and it's been a situation where she took me a while to get home. You know what I mean? And so it could be traffic, whatever the case is.
Okay, so I'm gonna do it to you really quick.
Okay.
You come home. So where you been?
Oh man, I stopped by my homeboy Mike house. We just had a beer. We chopped it up a little while.
And you can pick up. You can't call nobody. You
Yeah.
can't call me.
Damn, you sorry, baby. I should have called you. That's my bad.
See, this is easy to do because we.
There's
But
no
in the
emotions
heat of the
involved.
moment, you be like, "Oh, I'm home." Tell him when he come home.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's all about, it's all about tact. And the
Yeah,
same thing is true for men. You don't want to be coming across like like you Ike Turner. You know what I mean? You
yeah.
want to you want to be very even keeled. Even if you do have a problem with something, and you want to, it's better to interrogate than to challenge. Challenge is just gonna cause conflict.
I will say, I want to. I don't know if you were asking me, Naima, but I'd like to, because she said new
Mhm.
advice for a new engaged person. Take it day by day. Don't be too hard on yourself. You have to, I don't know how long you've known each other. There's still growth even after years of marriage. So there's going to be growth between the two of you, especially if it's your first time actually living with. That's a whole nother thing. Actually moving in and living with somebody and you're used to being by yourself. That's a whole nother challenge. Um, for instance, when my man moved in here with me, I was so used to everything being mine, as far as furniture and stuff. And he had that raggy old chair of his that he wanted to bring in here that didn't match none of the furniture. And I was cringing, okay? But I was like, and he even said, like, you got everything. I can't have this ugly ass chair. I'm like, oh God, okay. I gotta deal with this ugly ass chair that throws everything off, but okay. So it can be it's just a constant day by day thing. I appreciate that question. Keep people out your business. You guys
Mhm.
talk amongst each other, because what happens is, and I had to learn this the hard way, it's okay to have, before you go to anybody, go to God. I'm serious, because it ain't going nowhere. It's not going to leave the room, honey. Go to him first, because even though you might have a confidant, like I had good family, my mom and everybody, and they meant well, but guess what? I only went to them when things were bad. And so I
Mhm.
painted a picture of him that really was not nice. And then when they weren't nice to him, I was mad. Like, why are you treating my man like this? Like, well, you don't tell us anything good about him. So just try to
Mhm.
keep the business to yourself. Anything else? Anything else comes to your mind, Amiri?
No, that's great advice, and
Thank
that's
you.
true. You don't want to be a person that speaks bad of your spouse to other people, whether they're family or not. And that's something my wife is real good at. She's real button lipped about, you know, our internal issues and stuff like that. And you don't want to do that. And the other thing is, you don't want to make your spouse or your mate feel small.
Right.
You should always be in a posture of where you're enlarging your spouse or your mate. You don't want to make
Yeah.
them feel small.
So yes, go to each other also. And
Mhm.
it's okay to, because there will be moments in time where you need support, where you need a shoulder. But I would try to make it somebody, and not just a random person in the church, but somebody that will keep your stuff confidential.
Mhm.
Somebody you really, really can trust. And that's why I say go to God first, because it
Right.
ain't leaking if you go to him. And then work it out with your man. And then any other advice, I would say, keep open lines of communication. Always talk to one another. Don't fake nothing. I never faked any. I was so shocked with all these women that told me they had been faking stuff for years, faking orgasms, telling lies to their husband. I never did that. I
Yeah.
never did. I never did that. If I didn't like something, I
Mhm.
didn't like it. And I
Yeah.
let them know I didn't like it. Because guess what? I didn't want you doing something. And I didn't even talk about sex necessarily, but I didn't want you doing that again. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I'm gonna tell you what I want. And men like that too. Be open what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. I know.
So
I know. I would always prefer if, like, if I ain't getting the job done, I want to know. Tell me so I can
mhm.
improve. Do things different, stuff like that.
That's one of the worst things women can do. And then they complain about how they're unsatisfied. And I'm like, you should
Mhm.
have told him from the beginning. Now he doing the same old moves every time.
Mhm.
Okay. So this has been wonderful. Thank you so much. Before I drop, I'm going to drop the link, and I'm asking for married folks, or folks like Naima, who's about to get married. I want to keep the conversation. Basically, I know a lot of y'all manosphere hating MFs. Forgive me. I'm gonna try not to cuss. I told myself I was gonna cuss as much. But I know y'all in the clouds. That's not what this is. But if you're gonna keep it on point about marriage and about relationships, then yeah, you can come on the panel real quick and ask your questions or make your statements. But we're not gonna take this over into anything else, okay? So, but before I drop the link for you guys, I'm going to and then Mary, I don't know why they hate you so much. They should really be trying to, if they
Mhm.
want to be in your position, because it seemed like they do. They talk about women all the time. Seem like they want a woman.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
They should be listening to you. Why do you think you get so much opposition in the space?
Well, because like there's people have a follow the leader type mentality, and this is the thing. This is the ironic thing. The very things that they wanna blame women for, like choosing men who have these toxic traits. They
You're right.
follow men who exhibit those traits. Like, all you have to do is put on a pair of sunglasses, get a cigar, and say the most outlandish, misogynistic things about women, and you can build up a following. Even though I know that that's not going to work in the real world. That sounds good in theory, but it's not practical by any stretch of the imagination. It's a reason why they're complaining about the laws on the books, because the laws on the books, more than any other time in history, dictates that a man has to actually be worth uh, being married to in order for the woman to be in a relationship with him. You know, once upon a time, women once they got married, they were kind of like, just locked in, had very few options. That's not the case now. And so now, we all saw that article that came out a few weeks ago from the Psychology Today that a lot of heterosexual men are struggling because women are putting a premium on healthy relationship standards. You see?
Like raising the standards. Okay.
Yeah. They don't have to take your crap.
Right.
So you actually have to.
We never had to. Yeah. If the women's self-esteem, I guess, is, with more of us being able to take care of ourselves and stuff.
Exactly. They don't have to just. Well, no, they don't just have to just, get with a guy because he's paying the bills, or women can take care of themselves now. So they don't, if they feel like something is, and that's what you have a lot of women doing. A lot of sisters at the first sign of trouble or red flags or abuse, they're out. They're gone.
Right.
So a lot of guys have a problem with that.
Now, I will say this. I'm big on not putting up with abuse. I never was that type of woman, and I don't want to see any woman put up with abuse at all, because you don't have to. But at the same time, and, that's a good question. There's a thin line sometimes, and you got to put your foot down with anybody, even sometimes your own spouse. When we talked about this a little bit when it comes to treatment. Hey, you raising your voice at me a bit too much here. You raising your voice. Lord, could you please lower your voice if we're gonna have this conversation?
Yeah, my wife would tell me that, like, if I, she'll tell me that, and I'll listen. You don't want to go down that road, like with Shahrazad Ali and talking about if she disrespect the black man, the authority, he should slap in the mouth. That's stupid. You know what I mean? You don't want to. Violence is home is the one place you don't want to use violence. It's stupid. It's stupid to even think that you should be able to do that and everything's going to be okay and fine. It's stupid, man. It's not going to work.
Right. And, I know she was practicing Islam and stuff, but there was a few issues that I had with her. I thought she was a very intellectual sister. I followed her, but it was just that, and then the whole women are like children thing. Like, no. Yeah, you have a. It's like you have this message that you want sisters to hear, and then you take it and present it to them, and you put a turd in it like that. And then, then when they reject the message, then you want to blame them for rejecting it. But you put it. Who wants to eat around the turd? If you give a person their favorite dish with a turd in it, they're not finna eat around the turd. They're gonna throw that whole thing away. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what she did with that. But a lot of these brothers, to their own detriment, I think you don't have to listen to me. Keep doing what you're doing, even though you're complaining about the results of it. So keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna keep getting what you've been getting. Right. I welcome you all, everybody that just came in. I see TC came in the building, L Nixon, and everybody. I hope I didn't forget y'all. So real quick, I'm gonna drop this. I got some clips for y'all that you gotta see, and then I'm gonna drop the link for y'all to just add on really quick. We'll probably end things in about 30 minutes. Okay, so let me show this other clip. We'll watch it together. I'm enjoying this. Are you enjoying this, Amiri?
Yeah. This is this is a constructive build.
Exactly.
And it's right in my wheelhouse. Like like I said, my channel is dedicated to the Black family.
Yes, it is. All right, y'all. So let me come back to y'all. Hold on a second and get us off of here. I saw this the brothers show. What's his name? Steve Harvey, and I just thought they were the cutest couple. So let me let you listen to them. They're very funny too. Hold on.
You 103 years old.
Yeah.
And you 100. What's up?
You got to be the prettiest 100-year-old. They've been married 82 years. So now, Miss Willie, you said that the secret to a happy marriage is being nice to each other. Yeah. Any other advice you have?
Just sit down and talk things over.
Talk things over.
Oh, yeah, and get a good understanding of what you're doing and where you're going.
Let me ask you something. It's a lady up here that's been engaged. She been with her boyfriend 11 years.
Yeah.
They've been engaged for 5 years.
Yeah.
He want to get married. She don't want to get married because she think they ain't got enough money to have the big wedding she wants.
Big wedding.
Yeah, big wedding, Mr. DW.
Why you want to bring us into
You don't need to have no big wedding. Just go and get married.
Don't need to have no just go get married.
Oh, man.
Let me ask y'all a question.
Okay.
How long did you court her before you asked her to marry you?
Oh, about 3 months or so.
3 months.
Yeah.
When you're young, you don't know any better.
Right.
When you get older, you learn your lesson.
Yeah.
So you know better.
Right. Now, how old was y'all when y'all got married?
I was 19 years old.
You was 19. Now, Mr. DW was 19,
Yeah, yeah.
and he 103 now,
Yeah.
and you 100.
I can't count so good.
See, Miss Willie, you sat up there, and what happened was, see, let me show you something. You met that little fine chocolate man.
Yeah.
Came up that road. He was strong. He walked like he
Like I had $100, didn't have nothing.
She said he walked like he had $100, ain't have nothing. Alice, let me ask you this. What have you learned from your parents' relationship over the years?
They are very, very good parents.
Yeah.
Yes. True love.
True love.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. BJ, you got something you want to say to your grandparents today?
Yes. I love you. I'm proud to have you as my grandparents. We do any and everything we can for you because we're so happy to have you with us. So we love you.
Hey, now, Mr. DW.
Yeah.
Now, you my man now. Cause see, I'm looking at you, and I want to be 104.
Yeah.
Now, you bald-headed, I'm bald-headed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I lose a little weight,
Yeah.
I'm gonna look just like that.
Yeah.
And now, I just want you to know that cause I done met you today,
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a picture with you, I'm gonna put you on my mirror.
Okay.
Cause I'm gonna be just like you.
All right. All right.
You muted again.
Don't y'all just love them? I thought they were so cute. They were so cute. Hey, thank you. Welcome everybody. Diana, Melody, C, Terry. So I just thought they were so cute. I think I'm ready to drop this link, y'all. So if you guys just got in here, this link is for married folk in particular. We don't have a lot of time. Child, I got to get out here and see that new movie, Woman King. Yes, I'm going to go see Woman King. I'll give y'all the breakdown of it. I'm going in it with an open mind, okay? Open mind. And are you going to go see the movie? Is anybody else going to go see it?
I am, just not right now. We're going to, matter of fact, yeah, me and my wife, we're taking a trip to New York. We're going to go see it then.
Awesome. Yeah, everybody I know, men and women, are going to go see it because if anything, just to know what it's really about, just to see.
Yeah,
it.
I heard it was very good.
I heard it was very
from
good.
A theatrical standpoint, it's a very good movie. So I'm going to see it just for that.
I love Viola Davis. I love that since I've seen almost all her movies. So I said I got to go see it. Let me drop this link. Hold on.
Okay.
Copy. All right. So we have a lot of married folks in the chat. So keep your questions or your comments really, really quick and brief. I have one more clip and then we're going to see our way out of here. Okay. If you have any. You guys were asking some really good questions earlier. If you have any comments about, if you were married and some things that you've done to get through, we're interested to hear. Is there anything else that I forgot, Amiri?
No, I'll just say this. The good thing about marriage is that every day is a new day. So whatever you got wrong the day before, you have a new opportunity to get right the next day.
Mm-hmm.
That's the great thing. It's never over till it's over. So you can always get things right.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. And every day it is work. Any relationship, even
Yeah.
friendships. But yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys are going to come up, come on up. If not, I'm going to show, while we're waiting, I'm going to show that other little clip that I have. Let's see. I'm trying to think of it from a woman's perspective too, Amiri, because I was asking you about the duties of a man, but there are duties of a woman too.
Mm-hmm.
And both people have a duty to
Right.
themselves also, because I will tell you one thing: when you are not a whole person and you're expecting another person to kind of fill in you when you're empty,
Mm-hmm.
nobody can do it. You know, there
Mm-hmm.
was a moment in time, I talked about this in the past, where I was going through a depression. And the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, I had to kind of it was nice to have a supportive person there, but
Right.
I couldn't expect him to get me out of that hole that I had dug. I had to kind of get myself out of it, because,
Right.
that's why it's really helpful when you come into a relationship and you're already whole.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to wait a little bit longer. If not, honey, I'm going to drop this other video. I'm trying to think. Okay, so I asked you about duties of a man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, why do you think in the video the man
Mm-hmm.
said that he knew, like me, I got married very quickly. We got married after 6 months of dating. He asked his wife after 3 months. Why are some men so hesitant to marry, and then some men seem to know what they want right away? And what type of man should a woman be looking for if she wants to get married? Like, how long
Well,
should a woman wait?
well, a lot of guys today, they're hesitant because it's like, man, if I take this deal, it might be a better deal, or it's the quantity thing of what I was mentioning earlier. It was like you have this thing in our culture now where people put more value on quantity of relationships rather than quality of relationships. So, you know, a lot of guys just want to continue to play the field and test the waters and see what's out there. Um, as far as what a woman should look for in a husband, well, he has to be he has to be responsible. He should be, he should be thrifty. He should be industrious, hardworking. He should be you know, sensitive, not a narcissist or just a rolling asshole. Um, he should just have his head on and know what he want out of life, and also be a person who's not afraid of commitment. You know what I mean? That's another thing. A lot of guys are just afraid of commitment.
Yeah.
So I think all of those attributes speak for themselves when women meet men. You know,
Yes.
and just stuff like that. And another thing I do want to speak to too is the whole thing about single mothers, because you have guys who will play that stepfather role. And the thing is, when you do that, a lot of times what happens is guys will take on this posture as if they're doing the woman and the child a favor. You can't do that. Like if you get with a woman who already has a child, like doing a Russell Wilson thing, you can't then turn around and act like you're doing that woman and her child a favor. That's going to cause division. It's going to cause strife. If you act like that. If you get with a woman who has children, and you have to love those children as your own. You
Yes.
don't fall into that role if you know you're gonna put a difference between that child, and then if you and the woman have your own children, you can't do that. Those things, it's wrong to do that. And what I hear a lot of brothers do is they'll fulfill that role, but then they'll act as if they're doing the woman and the child a favor. You're
There
not
you go.
doing them a favor. You can't act like that.
I agree with you 100%. I'm glad you brought that up, because I had
Mm-hmm.
forgotten about that. But I remember when
Mm-hmm.
all that business went around about, bringing the whole cheeseburger thing, and you bought one child a
Yeah.
cheeseburger. And I remember thinking, oh my God, has it came down to this?
Mm-hmm.
Listen, if you with the woman and she got kids, and if you care about that woman in any type of way, you're going to help take care of her kids. And
Right.
that's just the way it is. What person is going to sit there with somebody while their kids need and let them need? Then you really
Right.
don't care about that person. Then you should
Mm-hmm.
probably not be with that person. You should play the field, do what you want to do with somebody that doesn't have kids. Leave
Exactly.
people with kids alone if you really don't like kids.
Right.
If that's not what you're looking for, then look for somebody who doesn't have kids. Don't fuck around. Don't mess around with people who got kids and then mistreat their kids and mistreat the woman and make her feel like, oh, you should be happy because I shouldn't even be messing with you because you got kids. Well, guess
Right.
what? There's another man, I guarantee you, there's another man that loves kids, maybe wants kids and doesn't have any, that will treat that woman right. So women, you do not have, because I've heard people, I've even heard other women, and that's, I don't mean to get on a tangent, but that is what I'm talking about with this space. I've even heard other women say things like that. Oh, well, she's got to humble herself. There's nothing wrong with being humble, but humbling yourself doesn't mean that you just let any and everybody around your children and you're so grateful for any and everybody. You don't know what type of, and then the woman turns around and does that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this man could be, a complete freak. He can be a complete, and she's desperate. That's what you don't want. You don't want a woman with a child to be desperate.
But what they really mean by humble is they really mean they want the woman to treat herself as less than.
Right.
That's really what they mean, and that's why I said, in a relationship, the goal shouldn't be to make your spouse feel small.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be about belittling your spouse for any reason, whether he or she already has children or not. So that's just kind of where we are today, man. And you can't.
Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say you can't do those things and then expect for the relationship to work. If you do that, you're purposely sabotaging the relationship when you do that.
Shannon B, I want you to know that you can come up and you can speak on anything. Speak of anything. We're just trying to actually give some good advice up here. Because so often, and this ain't shots at nobody, this is just the honest truth. You have people that have never been in a damn 2-day relationships talking about relationships. Like, let's just keep it real. But you got people up here that been in relationships for a long period of time. He's been in a relationship 20-something years, 22 years. My first relationship was damn near 15 years, and this one's going on 10 years. So why don't people take advice from people who've actually been in long-term, reasonably healthy relationships for a long period of time, and just, but no, they'd rather listen to somebody do what you say earlier, Maria, talk about how they're not putting up with this and they're not putting up with that, but yet they don't have a woman or a man anywhere near, and probably haven't had one, because all that sounds good in theory, but when it fires at home, because let me tell you something, Mary, a man, and I see you, Shannon, I'm gonna let you up. A man can say to me all day long, oh, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you better get in that kitchen and make me a sandwich, all he won't. But my reaction is not going to be the reaction that he wants.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Yeah, so that's the thing. You want to get more of what you want. You don't want to get more of what you don't want. And a lot of the stuff they be talking about, it's going to get men more of what they don't want.
Yes, that's right. So Shannon, welcome. I don't think you've ever been up here. Oh, BMT, you're in time. Come on up, brother. Anybody that's married that wants to chime in, come on up. Shannon, go ahead and speak to us.
Oh, how y'all doing this evening?
Doing good.
How you doing?
Yeah, I've heard Amiri talk before. I kind of agree with a lot you say. Some stuff I don't, but I guess that's everybody. The marriage thing. Do you think that men and women now want to be married?
For
the majority.
I can't speak to it as the majority, but I do know what I'll say is this: there is an undercurrent out here where people just don't want to be married. I think a lot of that has to do with with modernity. A lot of it has to do with that women have their independence too. And and then from the guy's perspective, they can just play the field and just get short-term sexual relationships. So for them, it's like, shit, I get the best of both worlds. I'm getting the ass, and I ain't got to commit. Shit, sign me up. You had that going on. So
I've noticed that myself.
Yeah, that's just the trend. Like I was looking at an article the other day, and they had the same problem in Japan where they said for the first time, there's a majority of young people who just don't want to get married, and those are some of the factors. Women are becoming more independent. We have modernity. Because of modernity, it's easier for people to actually live alone. So we just have all these things that's impacting the way the way we do relationships and the way we interact with one another as human beings.
Well, I have kids. I have 3 kids. They're in their 20s.
Okay.
And from my generation, I'm 45 years old. We were doing the reckless having kids by whatever. And I noticed that a lot of us that are my age like to lie about the situations that were going on when I was a kid. See, my kids are not into having like random babies, and neither are my cousins. I have cousins that are in their 20s. I have, by my older cousins, and they're not into the whole just having random kids. It seems like more my generation and a few millennials. So I've always wondered, like in the space, I hear the conversations, and it's really more like they're just having conversations of one side woman trying to get over on a man, man trying to get over a woman, and it just keeps going in big circles and circles and circles. And it's the older generation mixed in the middle of it, lying.
Yeah,
that's just what I've noticed. Yeah. They're lying
We
about.
just said that, yeah.
Yeah, they're lying about what went on. Like I always tell people, if you get brave, ask your mom and dad how you got here. How about that? Ask them the situation that y'all were in that made you. And a lot of them are gonna lie about it, but you might run across one that tells the truth. So that's just my input on it, and that's why I don't really like the conversation y'all were having about the baby and the McDonald's and all that. I don't like to. Those situations are goofy off the rip. Like the girl got kids by everybody. She already knows what it is. You can either do it or get away from me. That's
well,
basically
it
what the
wasn't
women,
even real.
women
It
do.
was fake, but it brought up a lot of conversation because, unfortunately, it may not be quite that dramatic, but you probably do have people that try to pull that with single mothers, like, oh, I don't have to do.
It's not probably. That's a normal situation. That's a normal situation, and they go through it a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what I was saying. Like there's this thing where if guys do step into a role with a woman who already has children from previous relationships or whatever, they want to take on this posture as if they're doing the woman and the children a favor. And you can't really do that. Like that you're already sabotaging whatever it is, and then you never know what you might get, what you might receive in return. Like let's stop acting as if children don't add value to the lives of adults. When you look at people like Shaquille O'Neal, you look at Tavis Smiley. I was looking at an interview Tavis Smiley did, and he was talking about he knew his real dad, but the stepdad was a better man than the real dad. And the stepdad was the one who made him the man that he is. And he just talked about the character of his stepdad, so and the thing is if we want to place all this value as men on fatherhood, then that's not just biological, it's stepfatherhood too. Now I do get how you do have some women who can abuse those types of situations, like they'll still be fucking the baby daddy and then just using this guy as a sponsor. This is what I want brothers to know. There's a difference between being a sponsor and being a provider. And you have to be intuitive enough to know where you are in that. You don't want to be a sponsor, you want to be a provider, because the difference is a sponsor is somebody who's just offering monetary support. And that the woman is just using in that way. You do have women who will do that. But when you're a provider, not only are you providing the monetary support, you're providing your example, you're providing steadiness, you're providing consistency, you're providing authority, you're providing structure. That's the difference. You don't want to be a sponsor, you want to be a provider.
Okay. Yeah.
Did you want to say something else, Shannon? I was going to add something, but you could say something first.
No, go ahead. But I was just going to say that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because I heard it, I think it was on BMT's channel. Faith brought this up the other day. Because now, if you look at it like that, now you got women that are marrying men that have kids too, right? Because we take with kids, and they're helping to pay off their husband's child support. So that can go either way. You know, so that's just you. If you date somebody with kids, accept their kids, love their kids. You should anyway if you love that person. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was going to comment on. For the most part, what I've seen nowadays is the men are ultimating the women, and the women are ultimating the men. They really don't fool with each other. I know you've been married a long time. I'm pretty sure that you and your wife are actually in love with each other. And that's what they don't talk about in these spaces, is that the two people don't like each other. They feel like it's like some kind of job interview, or it's just a weird situation where people are not really meeting each other and getting to know each other and actually liking each other. It's like, well, you know, they're filling out job applications like, okay, well, I'm gonna be with you, but before I do that, you have to do this, 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 this. And the other one's like, well, you're gonna have to do this for me. And then they just get together on that. And I'm like, damn, y'all don't even like each other. So that's
well, I'm sorry to cut you.
ahead,
Go ahead. Well, you know what the thing, like with my wife, I knew my wife like 2 years before we even started dating or anything romantic. Then we dated for a year. Then we ended up getting married. You know, so that's why I said I saw the attributes and the characteristics that you know, that I valued and I liked about her, and I got to see that from a very organic perspective, because she was, you know, she was just around. You know what I mean? With the same age group, go to the same school, and you know, stuff like that. She was actually friends with my sister, so you know,
okay.
I got to see her in a very raw, organic form, and you know, and like I said, those things that I liked about her, you know, she was very family oriented, you know, very honest and stuff like that. And those are things that I liked about her. So I liked her as a person before anything
There
else.
we go. There we go. That's yeah. That's what I like for people to know. They need to get to know these people first. You know, it's like it's almost like people are they're acting like robots. It's like, you know, I'm an A robot and I need another A. It's just weird, the whole dynamics. And I just want the older generation to kind of, you know, don't lie. That's all I say.
Stop lying and misrepresenting facts and scenarios and stuff like that. Trying
Right.
to, you know, and they do that. Like there's this where they're stoking it. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
they're using stats to create imaginary narratives, and the stats don't even reflect what goes on. Like I'm trying to give an example of a good stat. Pretty much the marriage thing. In the space, they believe that men are just want to marry women and the women are just acting a fool out here. And then, come on, you know what it is. So the stats say 70% of babies are birthed out of wedlock. And I'm like, well, what happened to the marriage in there? Well, you know damn well what it is. The stats don't reflect what was really going on. Dudes are out here just smashing. That's what's going on. Dudes run around, and the women let them. Now, the women, I ain't gonna lie, there's a lot of them, they hitting licks, but it's 2022. If you in your 40s or late 30s, you know this already. You got the girl pregnant, you know what she gonna do. It's gonna go like clockwork. You go into the courthouse, she's gonna get her own apartment. You already know what's gonna happen. But people just, till this day, in their late 30s and 40s, act surprised. And that's what I'm like, you know, I tell younger guys, don't do that. You know what's gonna happen. Well, she should have did this, and that's what this whole manosphere space is built on. That, you know, just built on. Well, she shouldn't have did that. Nigga, you ain't had no intentions on marrying her no way. You just accidentally got her pregnant. And my biggest complaint about that is, instead of telling these women all that crap, instead of the women telling the men all this crap, tell that kid that. Tell that kid how he got here. Tell him, well, I was just sleeping with him. Tell him that, well, I was, you know, your mama was around there looking good and I was just smashing on her and then she got pregnant, you know, and the girl could just say, well, I just got pregnant with you because I was trying to get an apartment. Tell that. But don't tell the dude and tell the woman. Tell that child you had that. So, you know, we could end the conversations. Tell them what you think. Because I know there's a whole generation of kids. A lot of them think they don't know this, but a lot of them do know it. And they act accordingly. So, you know, you have a lot of kids out here. They full of anger. And I see them on these panels. So that's all I got to say.
Okay. Did you have anything else to say, Amiri?
No, I think we pretty much you know, covered everything. This was a good build, constructive conversation, you know.
Yeah, I thought it would be awesome. And Shannon, thank you so much for joining us. You were the only one with the heart. I'm gonna get y'all, and I know who y'all married.
I appreciate y'all letting me up.
No problem. You can actually, I'm about to end the show. I'm gonna share just a little bit of a funny clip to let us go, and then I'll end the show. Oh, he dropped. he was like,
oh, he dropped.
I'm thank all of y'all for coming through. Let's have a good laugh, and then I'll just bring
Yeah.
it in. Okay. I
Okay.
really appreciate you doing this
Yeah.
today.
Thanks for inviting me. I like this type of
Yeah,
content. Very
it's
constructive.
nice. Well, it's
Mhm.
that, and it lightens the mood. I get so tired of these humdrum like
Yeah, just
topics.
negative. All of yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I mean, we do have to deal with it, but I just be like, oh Lord. Uh-oh. So have you guys ever seen this couple before?
I know that's major hype. I'm aware of him. Yeah, he does
Oh
like a
my
lot of
God, he's
yeah.
so funny. Let me get back to you. Hold on, let me find you. Um, for y'all, Chris. Hey DC, thank you. If there's a little bit of cussing, just a little warning, but we're just gonna watch a little bit and then I'm gonna let y'all go. Hold on. What the hell? Where's the picture? Okay.
He read Matthew 5, verse 28. And anyone that looks on a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Well, that's the case I'm a sinner, because I don't fuck that girl about 20 times in my mind, okay? My heart is full of sin right now, okay? I see the way you look at the damn pastor. I could have had the pastor one, okay? You want to play that game? What you about to do? I'm going upstairs to fuck up 4 more times in my goddamn brain. I swear if you go up there and do that, I'm going to get my rabbit.
Just so you know, there's no smoking here.
You can't tell me not to smoke. Just put
Yeah,
the
but this
thing
is a
out,
non-smoking studio.
Shit. You cannot tell me not to fucking smoke. Just put it out. Okay. I've been smoking since you was in your daddy's nuts. Okay.
All right, don't just get started.
Now what's the fucking question?
Okay, well, welcome to Know What You Know. This question is for Charlie. What's Mabel's favorite activity?
That's easy. To fucking argue. The fuck you mean to argue? What are you talking about? Let me explain my goddamn self for 1 minute. Goddamn, you telling him stupid shit. What I'm trying to explain to the man is that we have our arguments and our differences just like every other relationship. But the main key to staying together is working through the problems. You understand? Good answer. Good answer. And at the end of the day, she's a good woman. You know, and I love her, sweetie. I love him too.
Okay, so can you give me a memorable moment?
The first time I made her squirt. Why would you tell the man that? I'm telling him my memorable moment. That's mine. He thought I was squirting. I peed on his ass. Say what? I left a puddle of pee in your belly button. That is some bullshit. Can I use the bathroom in peace? I want to take a shower. You know what? You're right. Let me get up out of here. Because you have been slipping lately. Slipping? What you mean by that? What you mean by that? You've been slipping. Slipping how? I don't know what's going on with you, but underneath that left titty, smell like cat piss. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. Shit. Well, if I've been slipping, you fell already, nigga, because them balls be smelling like shit. I'm telling you, I don't care what you're talking about, Charlie. I know what I'm doing, okay? When I went under there last night, it tastes like sour sop, okay? That's all I'm saying. Yeah, okay. Why the fuck everything gotta be an argument for you? I'm not arguing with you. I'm just trying to tell you, don't come at me like that, okay? Just make sure when I come back, it don't taste like eggplant fucking lasagna no more. That's ain't nothing wrong with my hygiene, okay? I take a shower 3 times a goddamn day, okay? I don't care what you got to say, okay? I don't give a shit about all that. I don't care about worry about your nuts. Yeah, okay. You're not gonna talk to me like that. I might not work for real estate, but I'll put you in your fucking place, okay?
Oh my God, I love them. I love them. Okay, so this was awesome, Naima. Thank you so much for the super chat, sweetie. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. And I meant to tell you, congratulations. Congratulations on your engagement, sweetie. Very good.
Yeah, congratulations, Naima. Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you, DC. Thank all of you. Thank you, Shannon, for coming up here. Juju, Cassandra, everybody. All right, y'all. We're going to end it. Y'all enjoy your night. Thank you again, Amiri.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
All right. Peace.
All right.
Good night. Good night, everybody. Thank you.